Welcome to The View From Here, a podcast where we uncover the turning points, pressure moments, and the identity shifts that shape high achievers into who they are today. This show is for people who've built impressive lives on paper, but now their real story sits in the moments no one sees. The pivots, the breakdowns, the breakthroughs, and the internal rewiring that changes their trajectory. The View From Here is about perspective, the one you earn only by living it. Jess Robertson listens for what most people rush past. For more than 25 years, her work has lived in the space between behaviour, where children are forming their sense of self through adults around them. Long before her professional titles, Jess understood something simple and profound. The way an adult responds can shape how a child comes to understand who they are. Today, Jess is the founder of Journey Together, a speaker, author, advisor, and a creator of Connection Advantage Method. Her work reaches thousands of children and adults across Australia, increasingly around the world, through families, schools, organisations, and digital spaces, always with the same intention: to bring language, responsibility, and care to the emotional worlds children are navigating. What sets Jess apart isn't volume or urgency. It's her ability to pause. Whether she's speaking at the Sydney Opera House, advising leadership teams, or sitting quietly with families, Jess invites adults to consider what their presence sets in motion and what becomes possible when children feel seen, heard, and valued. Behind the confidence people see today is a woman who's done her own internal work, who's learned that choosing herself didn't narrow her impact, it strengthened it, that boundaries make presence possible, and that caring deeply doesn't require self-abandonment. This is a conversation about connection as leadership, about responsibility without burnout, and about the changes that adults become conscious of and the role they play in shaping young people's lives. Jess, welcome to The View From Here.
Thanks, Nikki.
Thanks
for having me. What a lovely intro.
I
That's
know.
a lot to hear in one go.
How does it feel hearing your life?
Very reflective.
Yeah.
And it's something to be proud of. It's not something to be anything else of what I can do to shape others and where I've come from. So
Well, it's a lifetime of accumulation, isn't it?
it is.
It's not an overnight thing.
Just building everything into what I do now and finding that purpose and driving every day that way is really something special that I'm honoured to do.
I love that. I can hear the passion and how proud you are of what you're creating. And I say what you're creating because I don't think we ever stop.
No, never stop evolving and growing as a human.
Exactly. And obviously it's been a passion project for a really long time.
Yeah, a really long time. And I have altered the course a few times, always centred around children. And then a season of going into business only without children, it did not feel as impactful or aligned with who I was as a person and what my purpose could be.
Yeah. So, and what was that business?
So it was retail and it on paper was doing great things. It was making money. It was serving people in a different way. And when that ended and changed, I reflected back and noticed how lost I was as a human, and my purpose and what lit me up every day was not there.
Yeah.
The drive, the push, the hustling, the long hours, the tips of almost burnout every time, but still finding that last bit of fuel to keep going was a little bit fun and exhilarating, but it shifted me away from making a difference in people's lives.
Yeah.
And now that I'm back in that realm, re-educated myself and really full steam ahead, it doesn't feel like work any day of the week.
Oh, so good. And that is living, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you can
and on
say
paper,
that.
it should be.
Sure.
And if you think about people's experiences that I hold on my shoulders in children's lives and worlds, sometimes it should be, but it's not.
Yeah.
So it's really...
You miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so tell me, I would love to go back to the early days.
The early days.
Let's rewind this back.
Let's go all the way back to the reason why I work with children and make them have a voice and seen, heard and valued.
Yeah.
It is pretty prominent in the fields that we work in,
Yep.
as you know, that they're from prior experiences.
Yeah.
So the early years of mine, I could say the adults in my world did the best they could with what they knew.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely was born into an environment that caused survival mode every day,
Mm-hmm.
and very much people-pleasing tendencies were formed then because love and acceptance was conditional.
Yeah.
It was walking on eggshells. There was a lot of those sort of early childhood experiences that I now help other children with without saying it, just know it from prior experiences. And it's very interesting because I was always a magnet for children as I grew, even back then.
In what way? Explain that to me.
Everywhere I went as I grew up in older childhood, the younger children would magnetize to me. As I was a teenager, I always babysat. Everyone's children wanted me to come over. I was always around children like a magnet.
Wow.
And I just thought people were like that. And then as I grew older, I realized, hang on, that's something different about me.
Yeah.
And I could really see the whole child always.
Yeah.
I could see their non-verbal communication. I could see past their behaviours and see what their experience was before I even had a master's degree behind me with it.
Yeah.
Without any theory or philosophy or any training.
Just instinct.
Just instinct was there always. So that is a superpower that I've had, and I think it comes from being in survival mode for so long.
You see the person beyond the exterior. You see
always
you see the inner child.
Yeah, and I do that every person I meet. You can't actually switch it off.
No,
I would like to sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I really want to see, but then I have that empathic response consistently for every person that I come across.
Yeah.
I can see past their behaviours and see who they truly are.
Beautiful.
Even when they don't.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah.
So that helps me with families, with teachers. The children, they're the easy ones to work with.
Yeah.
They really, truly are. Once they realise that you're a person of trust and authenticity, and they sniff that out in 5 seconds, their wall comes down and they're just open and wanting to be seen.
Beautiful.
And wanting that support. And a lot of them are self-advocating.
Yep.
So I am the adult version of me I wish I had.
And that is where the passion usually comes from.
Always.
Purpose. Yeah.
I always know what to say and do in most situations when I've got it in front of me as an adult.
Wow.
And so would I change my prior experiences? No. Do I wish they could have been easier? Yeah, sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
But it's helped me so much in the season I'm in now.
Yeah.
And
now you're giving it to others
100%.
that may have been in somewhat similar situations to you. You're changing their trajectory and experience.
I remember being a young child, probably 10 or 12, and saying to myself, this has to be for a bigger reason.
Yeah.
And it is. I'm living in a reason bigger than myself now.
Beautiful.
And it's beautiful to pass that on and to live that way. I don't trauma bond with my clients. I've done the work as well. It's a scar, not an open wound, because to help people, you can't still have that open wound going on. It's just not helpful in my experience. So I work from a lens of knowing, but not that we're healing each other.
Yep.
I know some professionals are still in that realm, and I don't want to have judgment on that, but it's very important that you've got that healed space you're coming from, not that you're still open and you're thinking that you can bond with that person. And I never say to my clients, I experienced this or I know this. I will never speak to them that way.
Yep.
I always speak to them from an educated perspective, third-party perspective for that reason.
Yeah.
But everything that I've gone through in my life does help the clients in front of me.
Beautiful. I like that. And so obviously you had that young instinct around children and that magnetism of them relating to you.
Yeah.
How did you then evolve from there? Like what was those next steps that you took to kind of enhance that?
Well, the next steps was that I always, from a young age, wanted to create a family I didn't have. So that was always a goal. Everyone asked me what I want to be when I grow up, and it was always a mum. I'm like,
Beautiful.
always a mum. Not that was going to be an easy way, stay-at-home mum, stick to the kitchen, 50s style. That wasn't my view. It was to give that love that I knew was inside me and rewrite the family I'd grown up in and have that. So that was probably the next part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was when you started your own family?
Yeah, so I was a younger mum.
Yeah.
So I had my son at 22 and my daughter at 23.
Yeah.
And I really, really wanted to have a different version of a family. And I loved motherhood from the get-go. It was everything that I dreamed of, and I put everything into it.
What did that look like? Tell me what.
You ask anyone that came to my house in those early years, it was like a childcare centre.
Mm-hmm.
I had all their experiences out. We were doing sensory. I educated myself so much. So not having the blueprint of how to be a mother of that level meant that I had to learn. And every day in every way I was reading, listening. YouTube just sort of started a little bit. I did everything I could, read everything. I didn't have any other friends having children at that time, so it was pretty isolating. They were all doing the uni life. And that was hard, but it was also immersive because it was me and my children. There was no other distractions.
Yeah.
So the second my son came home from hospital, I was reading to him. When he was in my belly, I was singing. I was doing everything that I knew for neuroplasticity now and bonding and attachment, which I didn't know back then, I was already doing.
Beautiful.
And they were my world for that time. And I went and actually started early childhood education, educating myself on the next level.
Okay. So that was that evolution of immerse myself in my own children. Ooh, I could offer
this to others while learning how to be even more for my children. Yeah. I learned about childhood development, attachment. I learned about education, sensory experiences. I learned about all that, and I had my children to practice everything on.
Wow.
And then I went back to work when they were 4 and 18 months.
Yep.
That was pushed also. I had a lot of repair work with my dad. He showed up for me in a different way after I'd left the home when I was 18. When I left home, that gave us space where he didn't have to parent anymore, and it changed. I've learned over my lifetime, though, to accept the apology I never received.
Yeah.
So to release myself from that. That's been my big, deep work. And I can honestly say I lived that way and feel that way. So with my dad, the words weren't there, but the actions were.
Yeah. And what did that look like?
So it just looked like showing up. He would call. We lived probably about an hour away, and he'd call every day, every morning before work, have banter and bits of conversation. We got to be adult to adult. Awesome. And that was a comfortable space for him to be my parent in. He always loved me. That wasn't an issue, but he had his own traumas he hadn't dealt with. And that came out in control and very strict parenting. And that's where the people-pleasing and conditional behaviours came out. But when I decided... So not only was I a young age when I said I always wanted to be a mum, I also was a young age when I said I can't wait till I move out.
Well, so how old were you?
18. As soon as I finished school.
You were out.
Yeah, that's it. As soon as I didn't need that anymore, I was done. I was out and I could not wait.
Yeah.
And I really believed, I believed that I was very independent and different to other people. Survival mode does make you grow up in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that I was fine on my own out of the house.
Yeah.
I didn't need my parents in that way for a very long time.
And when you say you thought you were different, in what way? Because you're in...
My lived experience was different to anyone else I knew around me.
Yes.
And some families, how do I explain this? Other people that did have families similar to mine were choosing different paths, though. They were choosing the shadow comforts.
Okay.
They were choosing the drugs and the alcohol, the, smoking, the drinking heavily. And I was not an innocent human. I obviously was a teenager, but they were choosing these environments consistently for themselves, whereas I wanted better for my life.
Yeah.
I didn't want anything like that to be in my future. I wanted a family. I wanted to raise good children. I wanted home. I wanted that white picket fence lifestyle. So I went that way, which was a bit different. But when I went that way, those teenagers that wanted that came from really solid homes.
Yeah.
So I was a bit in the middle.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay. So it taught you resilience.
It did.
Independence.
Yeah.
But
there was one thing that I definitely stuck with that was the core of what I think got me through was my dance.
Okay.
I found a passion that I loved. I fought for that passion because there's a few times it wasn't seen as important with my family.
Yeah.
But I made sure. I remember I begged and begged to go back to dance for a few years. And until then, I'd just dance all day at home. I'd just teach myself. I'd wake up, go to bed dancing. And I think my family did say, well, if you can get yourself there, I did. I got myself there and they got a bill. You give me a challenge and I will meet it. I ended up finding a best friend with dance and we ended up going together and I made my way there.
Good on you.
When I wanted to continue and make a career out of it and go to school for dance, which was highly achievable at the level I was at, that was not accepted by the family and the papers weren't signed. And so that was heartbreaking, but it didn't stop me dancing. But dance was my somatic release.
Yeah.
It was a place that was mine. It was expressing any built up frustrations, anger. Music was my drug of choice. And dance was my release.
Yeah.
So that was in my life all the time.
And do you still dance today?
So I went back to it.
Did you?
Yeah, I practice what I preach. And I was speaking to a lot of families over the years about going back to what brought them joy.
Yeah.
As children, invite their children in, do it, whether it was basketball, rollerblading, whatever. I went, hang on a minute, I'm not doing it. So yeah, I went back to dance.
Good on you.
So I dance all the time now and I love it and my body loves it. It's so funny. It's like muscle memory.
Yeah.
Once I dusted off the cobwebs, it just feels great. It's a great stress release. It's a good brain break when you're working too much at the computer.
Yep. Switch to the creative.
Yeah, and I found gym really boring for me because I've got that dance background. So for exercise, dance just fills my soul, and Pilates too. So they're both really important for regulation and balance throughout my week now.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so you went into early childhood while still being a young mum and with young kids.
Yeah.
And how did you find that being in that environment with others?
Yeah.
Because there's varying degrees, I'd imagine, of passion behind who goes into those
fields. Yeah. So I always wanted more out of my life. That wasn't an end goal, but it was definitely a learning stepping stone. So I met some wonderful people working there though. Passionate, some of them still there today.
Yeah.
It was such a family-run, beautiful space to be a part of and my children to end up being a part of. It was a homely childcare environment, not a business model like we're seeing these days. This was the owners worked there.
Yep.
And still do. So it was beautiful. It taught me a lot. I started in the babies room and then I ran the babies room with sometimes 16 babies a day over each week while I had my little ones. But that taught me so much about child development, attachment. I saw the mother-child bond, the father-child bond in real time daily. I had conversations with families daily. They entrusted me with the most important, valuable set of their life. And it was real collaborative. So I learnt a lot in those years.
Awesome.
And then it went to the toddlers and then the kinders, and the kinders is where I stayed.
Okay. And then, so how many years did you work in?
So I did 10 and then 8.
Okay.
So I went back to kinder for it's about 15 to 18 from memory. So I did kinder for the long haul.
Yeah.
But the first starting points was the babies and the toddlers.
Beautiful. So it was a real evolution of being able to evolve into the roles and learn and grow.
And so when I went and did my master's degree, I went back and was working in the kinders as well, which was really beautiful because I got to have living case studies in front of me. And I was going through a bit of a different season at that time too, which probably needed the healing I didn't realize I was getting with these children, because when you've got 60 different little humans loving, adoring you and teaching you so much and being with you over a week, you can't help but feel that. And I thought I was giving. And then when I reflect back, they gave so much. And it wasn't the purpose. But being around children, that happens. It's a bit of magic.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Because there's so much innocence there, and they're so in the moment that there's no ulterior motive.
No,
it's just
they're
their
pure.
being. Yeah.
And they're honest. If they don't like you or like something, they will tell you point blank. And if you are not showing up as your authentic self, they will tell you either with their distance, their mood. It's just beautiful to watch them. There's so much we could learn from that age group and take into our adult lives.
Oh, absolutely. Going back to basics. And okay, so you evolved into studying more because, and what was the drive? What made you go, oh, I'm going to go back and do my master's? Because what was the master's in?
It was child psychology and developmental. It's relational psychology and family dynamics. And then I added on so much more, got to do with different type of, different therapies, different responses, different theorists, different methodologies. I just kept growing, evolving. And then I did one major one to integrate that into schools with teachers. So that has been where that drive started as well. If I listed them, there's too many. I still don't stop. I still grab other certifications or other things to learn from as well. It's really important. When I left that to do the business side of things, broke my heart. I was trying to keep both for a long time. But I chose that because the family business was going to be something to set up the family. So I sacrificed my passion to realize that that could be a family dream. And with my attitude to everything, I put 100% in. So the unknown wasn't scary for me. I knew I could learn everything from social media to sales to, it wasn't my realm, but I did 100% in there and learned what I needed to learn and drove that to success. And then relationships dissolve and things happen. So with that, I learned that I had to choose myself for the first time in my life as well.
Wow.
And I hadn't done that ever. I was people pleasing from the day I probably took my first breath in this world, and making sure that I was small and not feeling worthy in spaces, and holding the stories people had put on me or the words they'd put on me as my self-belief system. So I went into a marriage with that as well. And as much as I thought I wasn't repeating it, I did. And noticed at one point that you can't help someone that won't help themselves. Doesn't matter how much love, time and commitment you put in. And I felt like I was a sacrificial lamb, really. And as much as I still put 100% in everything I could, my body was telling me something different as well.
And what was that? What was the body?
Autoimmune diseases were coming left, right and centre. I felt like I was getting hit by a truck every day I woke up. I was exhausted. I was not feeling my best self, but I was giving my best. So I was pouring from an empty cup. But still, my number one was always being the best mum I could, and I didn't drop the ball. I look back and I'm like, oh, I'm proud of me how that panned out, because on paper I should have just crumbled. But my kids were my true purpose to keep going. I didn't put that on their shoulders, but that was my why.
And possibly what kept you being able to go and energize or fuel fuel you a little bit.
Yeah, and I did stay in that situation for a lot longer than I ever should have because of my whys and my value system. I'm very loyal. I wanted a family that I didn't have, and I was determined for that to happen and for me to rewrite the past through this. So giving up isn't easy for me on anything in life because I'm driven. And I actually walked around thinking that this is what it's like.
Wow. Because it's what you knew.
I was the first to do it in my realm. I didn't have the modelling. It wasn't healthy modelling. And I thought, oh, it's not that bad to what I grew up with.
It's better. It's an improvement.
It's an improvement. So what do I have to complain about? The bar was pretty low to begin with.
So anything above it was a win in that grand scheme.
And I went through a rough patch growing up, probably about 8, when my parents did separate and got back together. And that was we talk about toxicity with families, and I do work a lot with families through that as well. But this was probably, not comparing, but it was pretty high on the toxicity level for that year. So that was imprinted in me to not do to my children.
So you stayed together with avoiding the toxicity, but suppressing you in every way, shape or form.
100%, except for motherhood. That still stayed at the top of everything. And I think that got me through being in there for the long haul.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't short-lived. It was a long time.
Yeah. So what came to a head where you were like, I have all of this knowledge, like I'm a professional in this field of family dynamics.
Yeah.
I've got 2 beautiful children.
Yeah.
I'm more than capable.
Yeah.
But what was it that you were like, hang on a second, history's still repeating itself?
Deep hurt. I stay for the long haul with everything, and it took deep hurt for me to have a wake-up call to where, I will be honest, I thought, my heart's going to stop. You can't live like this. I would straighten up my crown and I would show up for my kids and children. I'd give myself permission every day to let it out, but this isn't living. I can't be in survival mode anymore. My body's telling me. My children are going to be affected if I don't wake up sometime. And they have reflected with me that obviously it wasn't as covered up as I hoped, but they are good
What
humans.
a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like for parents out there who are in relationships where they think staying is the best to keep the family unit together, science says different.
And
research says different.
Everything that I know from all my learnings
and experience
and my development is that they feel the energy.
Yeah.
You can put the smile on your face and you can straighten that crown, and I did all the things I gave myself. I remember I'd hold it together. My inner child's always here, I realized. And on the tough days, I'm like, 4:30, we can have a cry. 4:30, that was always my time. And I'd do that, have a shower, pump up the music, give myself permission. And that was great. But to live another day of the same. And the children can feel it.
Yeah.
And I still showed up the best I could in those seasons for them.
Of course.
I think my passion for children, passion for being a mum, passion for giving them a different childhood, and everything I'd learnt from education helped support that.
Yeah. But at the cost of you and your health.
But it was the cost of me. And I'd never chosen me ever in my life.
Wow. So you had to learn a whole new skill set, a whole new identity, because really it's an identity level change.
Oh, yeah. The old me had to
Who are
be
you?
gone. Yeah, 100%.
Was that scary?
Well, that's what probably kept me stuck for that last bit, is the unknown. I was living in fear of that. And I'd built it. My whole identity was in my business, my marriage, and my children. I didn't have one anymore. And I knew I had one at some point showing itself, but I'd had to have a few identity changes. So going back to when I repaired with my dad, we had some really great years, and the way he showed up for me when I had my children he was the best grandfather you could ask for, but then he got sick.
Oh.
So I had gone from not needing my family to building such a strong relationship with my dad that he became my rock, to him being diagnosed with cancer and passing away. Mm-hmm. So there was an identity shift then. I felt like I'd lost half my heart there.
That you just got back.
That I got back. So there is evidence that I'd have to say you can repair with your children, with your family, when you choose to show up, because I did it. My dad decided to do it, and we had that, and I'm so grateful I had the 6 years that I did, and I got to see the grandfather he was and how he could show up for me as a human.
Yeah.
And I felt it. It wasn't token because he had to. He really loved, cared, and showed the love always my whole life, which is really interesting. Always I felt loved by him. But this was without conditions. This was without the strictness, without his trauma flowing into me.
Yeah.
With our interactions.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. But geez, did I have a shake up in life? I was numbed for sure.
And so when he passed, was that around the same time that you were like, what am I doing?
No, that was the first season of how do I survive again? I had to go back into survival mode. I suppressed everything. I didn't do grief counselling, which I reflected back and wish I did, because 6 months was like an out-of-body experience. That's all I can think of it as. I was numb, like a robot, showing up to be the mum I could be. But I had a 15-month-old and a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do. So I just went through the motions of the day and enjoyed. They lit me up. They got me out of bed. They did all those things that isn't their job, but because they were in my life, they gave me purpose.
Yep.
And yes, that was the first season of change. I got very angry as well, but I internalized it. I was very angry.
And how did it end up coming out instead?
Health again. Migraines every day. I was purely exhausted. I remember I had glandular fever as a teenager for my Year 12 exams, triggered there. But I got chronic fatigue again, all those things. It was health.
Yeah.
And probably short-fused when I reflect back. I didn't feel it then, thought I was coping fine, but definitely short-fused for a season. My work, that's when I went and studied early childhood, was when I wasn't caring for my dad anymore as well.
Okay.
So that filled that
purpose.
And I signed up knowing he was terminal, and he encouraged me. He said, you need to do this.
Yeah.
Right. And I had that guilt. I should just be a stay-at-home mum like I always envisioned. I envisioned until they went to primary school I was going to stay at home with them. And I had a conversation with my dad, and he said, you can't be complete. I can see it. I'm like, yeah, I've got to give. I have to have something else. I've got to learn. I have to, And growing up, there was always imprinted on me not to study.
And why do you think that was in hindsight?
The female role model in my life was very much about, you don't need to do that. Just care about how you look and care about how you behave and have etiquette. And pretty much the story that was imprinted in me was boys don't like smart people.
So dumb it down. And do you think that's why that mission of I'm going to be a wife, a mother, and you said I didn't
educate myself.
I didn't think past that. That was just my life mission, which is beautiful.
Yes.
But part of that came from what the narrative that you've been told is just.
Well, you would think that, but no, not really, because I just didn't, I had fun with life. I had lots of friends. I had lots of boys and girls friends and dance, and I wanted to be a teacher. So there was an ambition there, but my mum was first. And I know that was, with all the work I've done, was to undo and have that family that I've always, and because I love children with my whole heart. So what better way to be around children is to have your own.
Sure, absolutely.
I don't need to have a dose from everyone else's when I visit. I get my own children with me 24/7. How beautiful. And it was beautiful and is still beautiful, even in their adult season now. But I think it was imprinted in me not to care about education. I did believe it subconsciously. So I stuffed around. I cared about dance more than studies. I cared about seeing my friends more than studying. I would try and study at home and it was disrupted.
Yeah.
So why do I keep battling that? If I'm a teenager, if the adults in my world don't think it's important, why should I?
Yeah.
They're not modeling that it's important.
Yeah.
I don't need this.
Yeah.
I just need to care about having fun in life. That's also what was told. Just have fun. My dad, not so much, but he was a workaholic, so he wasn't around as much for those impactful moments after school where you should be focused on studies.
Yeah.
And then as I had a thirst for knowledge. School as a structure didn't draw me in. I think that's also the missing piece.
And why do you think that is?
I couldn't do my independent learning there. I like to go with what I feel like I want to learn and evolve in. And when you're told you have to go to this class for maths, this class for English, you've got these subjects to choose from, being put in a box is not where I can live. So I know that I couldn't have thrived, even with a different mentoring going on at home. Probably wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
It's not that I didn't show up, I showed up. But having my own autonomy in my learning is where I've thrived.
Yeah.
Grabbing where my passions are and running with it and doing the best I can, you know. I toyed of doing a PhD and I realized actually I can help more people by not doing the PhD.
Yeah.
So I've stopped with that
Okay, so
level.
you could understand that there was still a cap, or there was a point where your skill set could be more beneficial in other ways.
And I don't want to sit there and just keep learning either. I want to
well,
be
you
active.
can learn, but be the active.
Yeah, I want to be the
is
active,
predominant.
whereas I know a PhD would take a few years out of what I'm passionately driving towards and helping others with now. So I've opted out of that. But I had a family friend actually who we were born together, same mother's group. Our mums are best friends. And that's one thing my mum was always great at, is making friends. I had lots of role models outside of the home on how to be a good mum as well. So outsource the mentorships.
I like that.
It was really important. And I do, expand that village sometimes when you're not sure. And your greatest role models and teachers are your parents, but it doesn't have to be that. And if you're not getting that, source it somewhere else. And as a teenager, I know I did. I'd have some very mature, in-depth conversations from probably 10 or 12 with aunties, my mum's friends. And I look back, they probably would have thought, who's this kid talking to me like she's 30 years old?
Yeah.
But I wanted to learn what there was to learn about things that I wasn't experiencing or getting mentored on in the four walls that I lived in.
And you saw that they were available
100%,
elsewhere.
and they were safe people and they were good mums.
Yeah.
Saw how they were with their children. So those women have had a pivotal role in who I am today as well.
And I think that's a really important aspect to double down on, is you may not get what your parents can't give because they haven't got the capacity.
Because they don't have capacity, yeah.
But it's about being able to stop and reflect and recognise that there were other profound role models that surrounded you, that gave you other skills that you're not maybe aware that was happening.
Definitely.
But it's about being able to stop and see that from a different
and through
lens.
the healing journey, I got to do that. Instead of saying what I didn't get, I had to and chose to search for where it was filled in and who by.
Yeah.
And that was I'm like, I didn't lose anything. I didn't have lack of in my life.
Just in a different place.
It's different formation, different place, whether it's a high school teacher. I became dance captain and drove all this stuff at high school, and she mentored me to do dance groups and mentor the younger children and be in productions. She saw in me what I couldn't see in myself.
Yeah.
And she believed in me and created positions for me in the school to let that grow. And that was beautiful. But that's something that wasn't supported in my home. And then my mum's friends. But I had one of the ladies I'm talking about, her son, who I've grown up with, go back to that one, saw him not long ago, maybe about a year ago, and he said, he's very honest. He said, I never thought you were intelligent. I thought you had no interest in learning. When we grew up as teenagers, you were here, there, everywhere, you're socialising, you weren't studying. I just thought you didn't care.
Wow.
And he goes, look at you now. You are just beyond. And I'm like, oh, thanks.
It's like, kind of a backhanded compliment. But
And I said, I've always been, I correct him. I said, I've always been intelligent. I just didn't feel that was my season to use it to its full potential.
Well, you grew into it.
Yeah. And I was street smart. I used it in my relationships with other people, with humans, but I hadn't used it academically. No, not to my full potential till I found a purpose and passion and something greater than myself to drive that mission, because doing that master's degree while going through my life blowing up and going through parenting and then going to working in kinder again, and I was doing a full-time master's degree. That was 2 years of my life where I only had 4 hours sleep and 1 hour spare for any discrepancy in my day for 2 years. I had to say no to weddings. I had to say no to birthdays. I had to say no to dinners. I just dedicated myself and did it. And I don't regret that.
Yeah.
But that was my last season of survival at 37. That was it.
Yeah.
Now I don't live in survival anymore.
Yeah. And how did you evolve from that? So you've obviously survived that 2 years, and that would have been a journey and a half. But do you think doing the masters and going through your own, I guess, shedding of trauma and new identity and
peeling back the onion layers of
kind
the
of helped, do you think?
Definitely.
Because you got to see other things come to
and
the
I
conscious.
knew that master's was going to be the future. I knew it was something I had to do for myself. I knew the impact I could make when I had the credentials behind me and the knowledge to dive deeper. When I was a kinder teacher, I was always more concerned about the emotional side of children than the education.
Mm-hmm.
So doing that, I knew that was going to be the next level for me to take that.
Explain that to me. I was more you were more into the emotional, now the educational. Why do you think that wasn't as valuable? What is it about that?
Because I realised that for children to have their learning brain switched off, they need to feel safe, secure and supported in their environment.
Yep, which is the emotional aspect.
Yep. And I saw children walk in having to separate from their parents that weren't having a great time. Socially, they weren't able to interact properly. Where's the learning going to happen if they're like a clam in a shell? So reaching them first, building that rapport, that relationship. If a child had to shadow me all day for the first week, I let them be. Some others wouldn't allow that. Go on, go play with this person. You need to be doing this. No. This child needs this right now. I'd always be attuned to what each child in my presence needed. And then eventually that child didn't need to stay near me anymore.
Yeah.
But I became their pillar in that room when their parents couldn't be.
Yeah.
Because the primary caregiver role gets transferred to the next stable adult presence. Teachers and educators don't realise this sometimes.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was becoming that role for them, but while their parents were at work or while they had to do the session.
Yeah.
And that's where I really learned a lot and saw when I did notice their emotional side, how much they grew and flourished.
Yeah.
It was beautiful to see them then engage, learn, be a part of reading time in the circle.
Yeah.
Before that, they were crying and unable to move. They were stuck. They were frozen.
Yeah. And so did you know in that moment that you needed a greater skill set? Was that what inspired you to go back? Or did you think that the only way to be able to advance the career was to have the extra layer of education?
I think it was both, plus my want to learn. I knew once everything ended in my life, in the family dynamic, I still valued families. I still loved and believed in partnerships. I still understood the pivotal role that plays for children. That didn't change just because I chose me and my situation changed. My value family systems is huge.
Yeah.
So I went and learned all about that as well. And I did all the deep work for myself. So I realised I wasn't going to transfer any of that over.
Mm-hmm.
Did the Bali, did all the woo-woo, did the science, did the theory. I sort of, mind, body and soul was getting healed, let go of, shedded and evolved at the same time. So some deep work was happening. For me to finish in the business side and me reflecting what was missing for me during that season was working with children.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to go back and study. Something inside me was just, it's like a fire that I couldn't let go of. And I thought, oh, if only there was something I could do right now to study. And then I came across a degree in Deakin. I'm like, oh, there you are.
Yeah.
I'll apply. I'll see how I go. Might not get in. And my life was pressured at that point, but I got accepted. I'm like, oh, okay,
here we go.
Here we go, strap in. And I knew for me to stand in front of the adults of the children's world, I needed some credibility, not just a why.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show up the best way I could for these humans, adults and children.
Yep.
And I knew the only way to do that is not just with my passion, but with methodology, theory, and reasoning of why I do what I do and how my passion for emotional responses and connection work.
But I'd imagine that you'd done a lot of self-paced learning. You'd said that from when you had your children, you were reading and educating yourself on play and sensory and things like that. So I'm interested, like you were learning and you were using methodologies and evidence-based approaches.
The education misses the emotional element.
Yes, okay.
So if you are only learning at the moment from an education lens, very operational.
Okay. And that was what daycare was?
Childcare, kinder, early childhood is very much based on that.
Okay.
It is about educating and stimulating the brain, development, gross motor, fine motor.
Okay.
It talks about, concepts like the circle of security. Talks about being that and in relationship with a child. But it talks about it. It doesn't teach it.
Execute it.
It doesn't see it as the most important part.
Right.
The education is the most important part, and that's drilled in. Very important.
Of course.
But
in conjunction, because the human isn't two parts, they're a whole.
But it's separated when you learn all of that.
Right.
All of my emotional work with children wasn't learnt from my education of being an educator. It was learnt by being with the children.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go deeper on that.
Beautiful. Okay. And that was how you saw being able to immerse yourself in having the tools, the knowledge and the people around you to amplify.
And for people to take what I do as an option of support. Some people, especially when I work in the education system and schools, that's of high value to them that I've got this master's degree.
Yeah.
It doesn't change how I work with humans, though.
Yeah. Do you think that's a flaw? That you could have...
Educators are expecting education's high on their radar.
Because it's what they value.
But I am glad I can provide that because I do have that relational lens. I do have that education behind me and I can produce what they're asking of me.
Yeah.
So.
But it's a conformment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the education system is set up that way.
Yeah. So do you think that if you hadn't done that master's, you wouldn't be able to get into the places that you're getting into?
High possibility.
Do you think that's a flaw in that system though? Because you've just talked about the early childhood education system being very one-dimensional about education, and now we're talking about the next tier up that you're working with, which is primary high school settings, and it's still the same limitation that their whole value, ironically, is on education, yet they're bringing you in from an emotional lens because you have education. It's kind of ironic.
I've got education in the emotional lens. Yes.
Isn't it
yes,
ironic?
It
It's
is.
like so
it is.
kind of messed up.
Yeah.
It's like, well, now you want me in because I've got the credentials, but you need my value to help connect emotionally, but yet we're in this position because we only focused on education.
Yes, and even the teachers' degrees don't have the emotional,
education.
They don't have things on neurodiversity, on trauma, on family dynamics. They don't have the emotional reach in what they're teaching the new graduates as well.
Yeah. Ironically, when I did my master's, I had about 25% of the course were in education coming back to do their master's, so they were better equipped on emotional, which is so
they were
ironic.
Educating themselves with the missing points of what they learned.
So they're doing a sabbatical, so schools were paying them to do it.
So
but it's like, Why aren't they just including?
In general, it's not the schools themselves.
No.
The
it's
universities I'd like to change.
Tertiary level
the
structures.
ones that are educating these educators need to adapt their teachings.
I find this so fascinating because we talk a lot about the politics behind the education system currently because they're saying it's quite archaic. And you have literally, without intentionally going there, but you've literally highlighted a really key area
the missing
that
points.
They're trying to add in by having you there, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But why aren't we adding it at a greater volume across the board? Because not every school has a U.
Yeah. And I think
we hope they do.
Well, I am learning
we
to
will
expand that.
this. Yeah. Maybe we've just found your business model for expansion. But where I'm going with that is
I'm getting there at the moment actually. So that's where my expansion is, to reach more on a different level, which was I was talking about the online work.
But we should be doing it even larger than that.
Definitely.
You could be adding further value to support the educators and the children on amplifying all these new things. But imagine if they had a base.
Yeah, if they had the skill set. And
wow.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of it's that they're not seeing the child's inner experience, the fact that they can't switch on their learning brains if they're not feeling
safe,
ready to learn,
supported and nurtured.
Yeah, well, seen.
Yeah.
And that's the missing piece that's in every school, and it's not the teacher's fault.
No, it's definitely not. They're doing a lot.
They are trying to be...
They've got a tough job.
It's increased in the last decade because they have to meet all the needs. There's lots of learning plans for the children that are either low or have additional needs or things going on in their homes or life. Then they've got to also have their expectations of academics is pretty high as well.
Yes.
So they're overly stretched.
Absolutely.
And parents have more access to them than ever as well. So they've got a lot of that to work with as well. Some families are brilliant and some are really challenging for them, and these teachers have to hold that
for everyone.
Their day, their week, their month, and their whole year with these families.
Yeah.
So it's a lot for them.
Yeah.
And yet they've got some assistance and they've got teams and leadership.
Sort of.
They're all stretched.
Well, no, because they've got KPIs to meet. And that's what I feel. I work with quite a few teachers and often I'm helping them transition out of teaching, doing career transition.
Well, maybe I've got something for them to do.
Yeah. So, but this is the common feedback I get is, like we've just now got another assessment to do and we've got these reports to write and we've got to do all these things. So how can they be emotionally present for these little people when they're trying so hard to please the top tier that aren't even in any way, shape or form in contact with them on the ground?
Yep.
They're just saying, well, we need to justify why we're charging this or why they're at school for 6 hours. But it's like, yeah, but I can see now why alternative learning is becoming more socially accepted.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know there was a thing called no schooling.
No schooling.
It's called no schooling. It's really big.
I think it's
heard
big
about
in
Queensland.
And it's just on their interests.
Is it Queensland? Yep. I think there's one state that you're not allowed to do it, but there's another state. I can, because I'm on the border, I can't remember if it's New South Wales or Queensland. But it's becoming bigger because they want to teach them life skills. They're still educating them, but yes, it's kind of self-paced learning.
Yeah, it is. And touching on what you said before is that the theme that I've been finding in Victoria especially, and when I speak to some Queensland schools and some in New South Wales, they've been asked to go into the school year data testing out of the classroom. Now, these are the first few weeks of the year. They're not setting up the relationship with the students.
Oh my God, those little people are
and
so
this
anxious.
Isn't the teachers. This is coming from the top down.
I know.
And so these children are already missing the beat.
Yeah.
They're missing the connection with their teacher, and the teachers are overstretched.
And even a simple thing like I was talking to a mother the other day and they're like, week 1, I think it was, or week 2, swimming carnival. And I was like,
swimming carnival, camps, all sorts of things.
You've got them in a new class. They've just had 6 weeks or plus off.
Yep.
They're just getting back into routine. The swimming carnival's on a Friday. They've just done a big week. They're exhausted. And you're like, go and throw yourself in a pool and be competitive. And these poor little people are so dysregulated.
They don't even know their teacher yet, who's meant to be their primary caregiver for the week.
And you're throwing them in the whole school environment in a pool.
Yeah.
Which No wonder it creates anxiety.
Yes.
It's just a good example that
But
I'm like,
those things,
wow,
there's a lot of
I
pressure.
haven't thought about it. But it was a tick the
And-
box moment. We need to do it.
Yeah, well, because they do. They have a certain percent that they have to do extracurricular
Activity.
extensions. So whether it's drama, performing arts, music lessons, art lessons, they've got a certain amount of activities they have to have for extra education ticked off for the year. They've got hours they have to be mandated by. So, for example, when I go and have one-on-one support with any student that's in high need at some schools, I can't take them out of any of those because otherwise that hour is deducted from that child. They need to make it up.
Oh, my gosh.
So they'd have to go in a different class to join them.
So it's basically like they're at work.
Well,
literally, because at work you've got to do hours.
Well, we don't have anything to build entrepreneurship at school, do we?
Well, you kind of are without even realising it.
So yeah, well, the 9 to 5, they're learning to be in a 9 to 5 in a mouse reel.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-education systems or
there's
academia.
A great system there for certain parts, but there's a lot that could be a bit more added in and understood.
I think with the science that we have now got at our fingertips, I believe that it's showing the gaps in what's been done. Doesn't mean it has to continue to be done that way, but I think you're highlighting that.
For a bit of an old blueprint, and then we're trying to rush the gaps of the data that's not setting properly.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is not strengths-based.
Yeah.
It's let's work on everyone's weaknesses all the time.
Which is reinforcing the part of the brain that loves to double down on focusing on the deficiencies and the negatives and the downside of things. It's much more prone to see those than it is to see the up.
Yeah.
Whereas imagine if we could flip that narrative and deactivate or reduce the stimulation of that part of the brain to possibility.
That would be great. To keep teaching them things that they're not so strong at, that's great, but to focus on their negative aspects consistently and have conversations about it and work on it. You know, how about if your child is really amazing at tennis and not great at math, hire the tennis coach, not the maths tutor. Grab their strengths when they can, and when you're in their strengths, when it's not forced upon them, they thrive in life.
They flourish.
They flourish when you find that their value system, and that's what I say to a lot of families that are missing the beat at the moment, or connection, and even the classroom teachers that I work with. I say find their value and work with that.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it looks like. Doesn't matter if you understand it or not.
Currency of exchange.
You need to grab that, and then you have them on board. Then you can build rapport. You can build relationship conversations of interest. You get their learning back online, because they're in an environment that gets and understands them as a whole person, not a data set.
But also, do you think that plays into, well, if you're showing them where their strengths are, building their confidence, building their identity around the internal confidence rather than external validation, naturally you're more inclined to try hard things because you draw upon, yes, but if I can do that, there's a potential I could do this.
Well, that's what I work with children 100%. That's the conversations. How did you know?
Because I work with adults.
Yes.
in the same realm.
I work with the children and adults, and my most common conversation to bring their ability and to push past the fear, anxieties with situations that are out of their control that they have to go and show up and do is I remind them of the value that I see in them in some other area. So some of them might be athletics, some might be basketball, some might be dance, some might be music, some might be drawing. Well, you are the same person.
Sure.
Remember that person when you walk into this space, because you're the same. Oh, am I? Yes, you definitely are, through and through. They're not a different person.
All parts are in there.
So grab that and look how much you're going to be enjoying and thriving, because you know who you are walking in that space instead of less than. Because a lot of it and resistance to try is because they're feeling less than before they even start.
Fear.
Yeah, 100%. And no belief. They don't believe in themselves because they've been taught, told, or observed that they don't fit there, that they're not good enough there.
Yeah.
But they thrive in this space. So I do a lot of work with them transferring that into that other area, and geez, they thrive so quickly once they realise, actually, I am that person everywhere I go. So draw upon where it feels the most impactful in your week that you look forward to? Because you might start actually enjoying something when you're confident.
Yeah. And really, you embodied that, like going back to what you said earlier, that your parents didn't support your love for dance. And they said, well, if you want to do it, find your own way there. And so you naturally had some of these elements, obviously, in your DNA of, sure, I will. And so I love that that's kind of what you're bringing.
Definitely, because even when they took away my dance lessons for quite a few years, it didn't stop me dancing.
No, you still found a way.
It just changed how. Yeah. Now, the only thing that did stop me back then was that I needed adult permission to go to a dance school. So that had to be a dream that wasn't fulfilled. But look where I am now. And I've focused on other things. And that's what these children need to know, is that, yes, you might not enjoy, or adults too, you might not enjoy some of these things, but give it a go. Try and be that same person there. And don't let that stop you. So if you can't sit still in class and you're a runner, there's a reason you can't sit still in class, because your body is trying to run. So where can we add that into your day? When can you remind yourself of that perseverance, that drive that you bring? Do that with your maths work, because then once you finish that, you get to go run. Give them a bit of a reward system as well. And everyone needs that. Adults need it. When I work with the families too, they're so drained with their jobs, a lot of them. If they can't shift to a different industry that lights them up because they feel trapped because of situations and families, or they're getting a good pay packet and they're worried to rock the boat, I understand all of that. But where can you light your life up? You've got to bring that in. Where's your reward system? Where's your carrot at the end of the hard yards? What are you rewarding yourself with later? And do that with the children as well.
And do you find from your own experience, having had those particular things in your upbringing, and now in the work that you're in, and obviously your passion is with children through and through, because you've been consistent with that for 25 years. Well, really your whole entire life. But do you think that there is as much value to work on the caregiver as there is to work with the child?
100%. So most of my work is with the adults in the child's world. You can't help the child without helping those adults. It just doesn't work. So when I was working just one-on-one, when I started out in this realm, I'd have time with them. They'd go back. Next week, it was not enough for shifting. It was not enough for change. Yes, a little bit, but I don't want to keep them like secrets of what I do with the children to help them grow and thrive. I want to pass that knowledge on. So when I work with the parents in a systemic way, with the teachers, the parents and the child, it is phenomenal, the change that happens and the shifts in the home, the shifts in the child, the shifts in the adults, because they understand what it is that their child is needing from them and why. They understand past the behaviours and see their child. They understand how they can use micro moments. It's what I basically teach for teachers and parents, because they're all busy, is the micro moments you already have, to use that to connect with your child and how much that can grow your relationship. Even small 10 minutes a day. And the feedback and the results are huge, but that's from working with the parents.
And do you think that's working with yourself? Back in that master's era where life was blowing up, as you put it so perfectly, do you think it was those micro moments that got you through?
100%. My whole life was time managed and still is micro moments. I was talking to a friend on the way here about when I fit in exercise. I only do 7 to 12 minutes a day, and I will not go to bed till I do it. And I keep it as a consistent micro moment. And I'm the fittest I've ever been in my life, because small micro moments and consistency is key to any area. If I say that I've got to do a 45-minute workout session, I'll go a whole week without getting it done. I don't have that capacity to set aside that time consistently. Something else more important will always come up in entrepreneur, mum, whatever role I've got for the day. And so micro moments with parenting, with teaching, with being an adult, so important. But the reward system is huge. That's how I got through the masters. I would do my assignment. I say, okay, I'm doing 2 pages. and then I'm going to go for a walk,
Yeah.
or I'm going to go and do X amount, and I'm going to make a phone call to a friend.
Yeah.
Always reward system.
And so in your life today, how do you juggle? Because obviously you've had some health issues over the years that were from the nervous system being so
Yeah, which I'm
overloaded and
actually
keeping
in
score.
remission for all of them. They're non-existent
Amazing.
anymore.
So how do you keep check that you don't, because obviously you love what you do so much.
Yes.
How do you keep check on you?
Keeping that balance. So when I talk about balance, I'm not talking about laying by the pool and working hard.
People can do whatever they want, but
that's
what works?
their balance.
Yeah.
My balance is always work, but my balance is working on my mind, body, and soul every day in
What
every
does that
way.
look like?
So as soon as I open my eyes, I meditate for 5 to 10 minutes, micro moments.
Yep.
With a frequency music of some level, it depends what I'm feeling in my environment for that week. And then I journal nonstop until I stop. So I do a whole page of automatic writing, and if I need more, I'll do that. So that's probably another 10 minutes. And then I'll do some Pilates. And I do all of that mind, body, soul work before I even have a shower and start my day.
Yeah.
So I intentionally wake up early every day between 4:30 and 5:30. I've got an automatic clock now that wakes me up. It used to be 7:30, and I've peeled it back so I can fit me in, because when I've got all that set up, my day is successful. I always find I can thrive and support others to my best of my ability.
Yeah.
And it checks in my nervous system.
Yeah.
I do, before bed, I do a similar
I was about to say, what's your back end?
I don't leave anything. I don't watch screens. I don't do anything for the last hour before bed. I make sure that I turn within. I do some more meditation a little bit. If I haven't had time, I actually put it on a timer on YouTube and go to sleep to it. But I always journal. I always let go of whatever I needed to. I do a sandwich effect. I'll do things that went right in my day, things that didn't go so well, and 3 things I'm looking forward to the next day.
Yeah.
And I do that before I go to sleep. And as I'm going to sleep, I'll remind myself of things to be grateful for, things to love about myself and those around me.
Yeah.
I really give myself that self-love that I never had space for in the earlier years.
Yeah.
And that holds very strong.
Amazing.
And I also, if I need to in between clients, whatever, I also have done so much work that I always know how to walk beside somebody. I don't walk in their shoes, because I'm not going to take on their things, and I can't help them if I'm in their shoes.
Yeah.
I need to be beside them. I have a metaphor of a container on a shelf. If there's something that's heavy that I need to hold for that space and that time, I'll do that, and I'll put it in my jar. I'll choose a coloured lid for that client.
Yeah.
Put it up on my shelf and ready to come back down when I see them next.
Yeah.
I try not to hold that into the next time with anyone else in my work or myself, or take it home.
Yeah. So very strong boundaries and values.
Very strong.
And I love that. And obviously, again, that's been accumulated over lots of experience, lots of life lessons, and lots of challenges.
And lots of inner work. I spent years.
And what worked for you that you're now bringing to others.
And I guess health-wise, it's the body as well. I'm cautious of what I consume. I balance my diet. I'm not strict about it. If I'm having chocolate or whatever, go for it. But I know the next day I'm going to be clean eating, because that's how I live life.
Yeah.
I nourish the vessel I have.
Yeah.
And the brain, I'm always learning from others that are doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
Getting coached by them.
Yeah.
Speaking and getting mentored by them, reading,
Yeah.
listening to podcasts, YouTube, whatever it looks like. But I do that every day as well.
Yeah.
I've got to be learning something new every day, and I've just got a fire within.
Yeah.
That doesn't go out, and it's never gone out. It's very interesting. I've had that through all my seasons, but now I get to choose me every day. That fire gets to get used in the right direction.
Yeah.
Not survival or trauma responses. It's
So
in the right way to help and serve others the best I can.
So beautiful.
And make an impact. I've always wanted to make an impact for children, and I'm actually living it now.
Yeah.
And it's
Life's
really
purpose.
lovely. Yeah. Living in purpose. A few years ago, I did, in my lowest of low moments and trying to get myself out, my whole life I've always had the word, what can I do? Those words. Can't was never in my vocabulary, if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, no. You learned that really young.
Yeah. And so
Resilient.
I used to always say from a young age, yeah, that's my situation. It's heavy, it's hard, but what can I do right now? And that has held at every season of my life. And I still use it today. And I teach it too. What can you do? You know the can'ts. They're going to keep you stuck. They're going to keep you feeling weighed down. I'm not telling you to ignore them, but find the steps you can do. Even if it's one small step on that ladder to get to the top one day.
Yeah.
Just start with what can I do? And you'll look back and be like, oh, I'm halfway up the ladder. That's the joy of it.
Yeah.
You don't realize your progress until you've done that every day in the micro ways.
Yeah.
What can I do?
Yeah.
So those things are really important to remember along anything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you have lived so many lives in one, firstly, but I love hearing why you're so passionate about what you do and where that comes from. And I think the thing that is so strong is that you practice what you preach, but you've lived what you are now practicing.
Yeah.
And that's where that authentic strength and strong direction
Definitely
is so embedded in you, because it's not performative. It is like, I've been there, lived that, tried that, evolved from it. These are the things I've learned. These are the tools I use. And now I've collected and gathered and grown and evolved from that.
And I
that's
just
beautiful.
do it as a solo person. And I'm not doing it because I'm lonely and I choose it. It's because it's where I got my inner strength from, is traveling
from.
And I love my own space. I love people.
Yeah.
But I also love my own space. That's where I find my true strength. And I think the first shift about finding self-love, worth, and compassion was,
in yourself.
in myself. And I found that in Bali.
Yeah.
I found my inner warrior. And I'll never forget the rage that came out of my body. It shocked me one time when I was doing this activity. I'm like, oh, hello there. You've been waiting a while to get out. And then I look back and I'm like, yeah, I had a lot to be angry about, actually. And I've just kept plodding along. Yeah. And I released that anger, and then I've just kept the inner warrior ever since.
Yeah.
And so she's with me every step of the way. And you know you can do anything when you believe in yourself, and you found that. With things, I don't look externally for anything anymore. Yeah. I will look for mentoring. I'll look for people, conversations, relationship with friends, all sorts. I'll look for that. But I know the biggest relationship that I've got is with myself now, and that's with me forever. She's with me forever. And even though I've got my children, I love them unconditionally. They're not my lifeline. They're not my unmet needs. They're not my support. We are together, caring and loving for each other. But I'm my own individual person. They're their own individual people. So I have to find my own inner strength. Yeah. Can't have that transferred. Yeah. Whether you've got a partner as well. You've got to be two complete people that are walking this world together, not two halves of a whole like we've been made to believe. And I realized that I used to love all the princess fairy tale stories when I was growing up. I'm like, oh, maybe that's where it all came from. Shouldn't have listened to Being Rescued by a Prince. That's just not in the trajectory, because if you haven't rescued yourself or found out who you are as a whole person, you can't be authentic. You can't live life with purpose. You can't have found your passion to its full extent. So, finding all that's really important. Yeah. And look, that's in a forever evolving evolution, which is not overnight. You got to do the work. It doesn't ever stop. No. And I think that's beautiful. And I love the onion layers that keep getting peeled back every time I have a conversation, every time I'm in front teaching teachers or going into schools or speaking with families, and my own journey with my own children now in adulthood. It's beautiful. It all peels back layers of who you are and how you want to show up. And the seasons change. But now I've gone from fear of the unknown to so excited for the unknown. Amazing. I get so excited for the unknown. Yeah. Because it's trust. Yeah. Safety. I wouldn't have believed it if you told me 5 years ago, though. Yeah. Or 10 years ago. So if you could
think of the phrase, the view from here, with what you've just said in mind, what does it mean to you?
The view from here?
Yeah.
The view from here, I just love who I am. I love what I stand for. I love the journey that it's taken to get me here and all the lessons that I've absorbed. The view from here is being who I am authentically with no apologies, but caring about humans at every turn.
Yeah.
And knowing that those prior experiences made me stronger, that I was never less than, and that I was never those words that people around me would place upon me from their traumas and their unhealed parts. And that, that I've always been enough, and that I am living proof that you can turn survival into the warrior princess and get out there and do good in this world. And I know that I impact so many, whether quietly or openly. And the view from here is that I'm someone to be proud of now.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Wow.
I like the view.
Yeah. From how you put it, it's a really good view.
I'm very happy with the view, and I'm happy with the people I surround myself with too.
Yeah,
and
good.
I know how to do everything for myself to the highest that I can show it for others as well.
Yeah, but not out of survival mode
Not
any
out of survival
longer.
mode, people-pleasing
being
tendencies, being present and authentic in who I am, and staying with that, and feeling okay to say no.
Yes.
And you can say it with kindness, and whenever you say no to someone else, you're saying yes to yourself.
Yeah.
I had to be a yes person for so long. It feels good to actually say,
no, thank you.
I don't think this is right for me.
Yeah.
And be okay with that without guilt.
Yeah.
So the view from here is pretty good for now and the future, I'm sure.
Oh, well, look, I think that anyone that works with you is so fortunate, because what you educate and allow them to process, feel and evolve into is so powerful, and to make such a difference in the young people that are coming through, but also their parents and the adults that then can also educate other parents around them, is the gift that keeps giving. And
it's like a flow-on effect.
I can't wait to see what you bring to light in life, because I know that there's lots ahead, but also just keep being you and giving this gift. And I love that you've turned adversity and the challenges and the lessons into something that's just so beautiful and is helping so many others. And you're getting to keep preparing and growing and evolving yourself too.
Thank you. And it sounds like you're also talking about yourself then.
Yeah. Oh, look,
because you are very much doing the same work and holding the same spaces for people.
I think that that's why when you're purpose-driven, that it lands so clearly, and why you are unwavered, undeterred, and never talked around on that mission, is because it is completely you to a soul level. And I can hear that when you speak, and I think that's what attracts us in all walks of life and different industries, is it's that commonality of, this is why we're doing it. We couldn't not do it. No. We just didn't know we needed to, or it was that we had to live some life to get there.
That's right. And sometimes just working out the how. Yeah. You've got the passion and drive, but the how you could best serve.
Connecting the pieces.
Yeah. That's about evolving as human beings, isn't it?
Yeah. But thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
This has been so insightful, and I know that somebody out there is going to hear this and take away either another perspective, another insight, or even for themselves and others around them. So thank you.
Thank you for holding space for this conversation and the future and the past ones. It's a beautiful space you're providing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.